morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome to Simplilearn. We are honored to have you join us today for utilizing social media marketing to build an omni-channel strategy for growing your business with your host, Lilach Bullock. My name is Richard, and after this intro, I'll be mostly in the background helping Lilach so that everything goes smooth. Utilizing social media marketing to build an omni-channel strategy for growing your business. I love the sound of growing a business, whether my own or helping others to succeed. Leveraging social media marketing to do so helps your personal career become more marketable and helps whatever business you are in working with succeed. Utilizing omni-channel techniques keeps it smooth and enjoyable, retaining more customers and creating a better user experience. If you do not know Lilach, hold on one second. There we go. If you do not know Lilach, Lilach is mentioned in Forbes as one of the top 20 women in social media power influences. Has been mentioned in Career Experts, #1 top digital marketing influencer. Mentioned by Oracle, where she won the title of Social Influencer of Europe. Attends the Downing Street for Best Mumpreneur of the Year. Global Connections for Women Foundation has awarded her Global Women Champion Award for outstanding contribution and leadership in the business. Has a number of one top seller book on Amazon in sellers and marketing category, and is often mentioned in Forums, Telegraph, Wired, Prima Magazine, Sunday Times, The Guardian, Kismetrics, Social Media Today, and Radio 5 Live. We are honored to have her speaking here today. For those who are not familiar with this form of webinar, I want to introduce you to your dashboard. If everybody could go ahead and locate your dashboard and locate the question module. Go ahead and type in hello there and just let Lilach know you're excited to be here. This also helps us double check our sound system and make sure everything is working correctly. The way this works is you can go ahead and ask questions in the question section. In the last 15 minutes, we'll collect those questions and have a question-answer period and try to get to all the questions we can in that time period. On the social media, you can mention this in your social media. Hashtag SL webinars, so if you're using Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media you like, go ahead and bring us up in there and let people know you were here or make them wish they were here with us. Special thanks to Simplilearn for sponsoring this. It takes a lot to put these webinars together, so we really appreciate having Simplilearn sponsor these webinars. They're a global online training leader with over 500,000 attendees, working with over 2,000 enterprises and over 400 courses. Because of their highly engaged blended learning model, over 72% course completion rate, highest in the industry. Simplilearn is truly the leader in global online training. Now, you didn't come here to listen to me, so go ahead and sit back, relax, have a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, or if it's evening where you're at, maybe a glass of wine. I'm excited to hand this over to Lilach. Hello, Lilach, and welcome to Simplilearn today.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm truly humbled by that introduction, so thank you.
You're welcome, and you deserve it.
So, hello everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. So in this presentation, I'm going to be talking to you about the omni-channel experience, what it is and why it should matter to you. So, the omni-channel experience is the future of marketing, an integrated, seamless, personalized experience where the customer is at the center of your focus. And we will be talking about the omni-channel marketing strategy, how it can be implemented, some examples of brands that have successfully implemented an omni-channel strategy, and where social media fits into all of this. Omni-channel is one of the latest buzzwords to take the marketing world by storm. The truth is, it's actually been around for a while now, but only until recent years has it really started to gain traction in the marketing community. The ways people interact with business has been in constant and quite drastic change over the past 10 or so years, mainly due to the internet and social media. This has led to different ways in which businesses market and promote themselves, and particularly in the ways their customers interact with them. And even more importantly, is that customers have different, much higher expectations from businesses when it comes to the buying process and customer service. Omni-channel is the response to this need and the next logical step in marketing, a personalized, seamless experience for the customer from start to finish. In order to understand what omni-channel means, we can look at the terminology. Omni comes from the word omnis, which means universal or everything. Basically, omni-channel marketing means creating a seamless shopping experience where customers and potential customers can easily switch between channels, whether they be mobile, a physical store, or social media. Now bear with me while I try to explain what an omni-channel marketing strategy is. One of the biggest developments in marketing and the way companies sell their products is that customers now have access to a lot more information from various different sources. It's no longer a case of wanting to get something, going to the shop you know sells it, and that's it, the end. Now, people can thoroughly research products online, check out reviews, see what social media has to say, and so on. While they can also engage with companies on various different platforms. It is the reason why multi-channel marketing has popped up and gained so much ground so quickly. Companies have had to face the fact that their customers are spending a lot of their time on different platforms, whether it be mobile, social media, or the web. Therefore, they needed to make sure they were maximizing these channels. To put things simply, the omni-channel strategy acknowledges that customers will likely be using different channels at the same time and aims to make the most of that by creating the best, most seamless experience for the customer. The most important thing to remember about an omni-channel strategy is that the customer should be at the center of the company's marketing efforts. And I will be sharing some examples with you soon so that you can see exactly how a company can employ an omni-channel strategy and how it has benefited them, as well as some examples of how not to do it. I'm sure by now you're thinking, this all sounds great, but what exactly is different between an omni-channel strategy and a multi-channel strategy? Because let's face it, they actually sound very similar. And you're right to ask yourselves that. At first glance, it's kind of difficult to see what the differences could be between those two strategies. Multi-channel marketing is all about using different channels to reach your customers. And I'm sure you've heard a million times how important it is not to only have a presence on various channels, but also to make sure you're being consistent across these different channels. Once you take a deeper look, though, it starts to become quite clear that there are some substantial differences between the two strategies. They're closely connected, sure, but they are different. The multi-channel strategy has gained a lot of ground because companies have had to face the fact that their customers are spending a lot of their time on different platforms, like mobile, social media, the web, and others. And so they needed to find a way to make sure that they have a presence on these channels as well, so that they don't lose any opportunities. The thing is, a multi-channel strategy to inconsistencies, and the customer will not have the same experience on each of the channels. After interacting with a company on a channel, they will come out with a different viewpoint that they would if they were using a different channel. And that is a problem because they are very likely to have to use that different channel at some points. Or even worse, they could be using the two different channels or more at the same time, or rather in the same session. In fact, for example, 43% of customers have used their mobile device while shopping in a physical store. That number is only expected from now on here as we become even more attached to our devices. Here's a scenario that you probably found yourself in a few times as a customer. Imagine you're in a physical store looking to buy a laptop. While in the store, you might be using your phone to look up the specs for the laptop and other laptops so that you can compare. You might even want to ask the store a quick question and send them a DM, a direct message on Twitter, if the staff is busy. As customers, we're now expecting that the company will be able to not only answer your questions as soon as possible, but that the transition between the channels will be seamless. Another thing that could happen, and has definitely happened to me at least a few times, is that you could be in a bricks and mortar store and searching through their products on their online store at the same time. And then you find what you want to get on their website. But when you go to ask the staff in store about it, you find out that they actually don't have it in stock at that location. And that's a problem. It's simply not a good experience for the customer. In fact, they most likely won't become a customer now that you don't have what they want, when you made them believe that you did it with your website. And sure, this might be acceptable, the norm even, but it's changing. Customers' expectations are changing very, very fast, and businesses need to keep up. The omni-channel strategy acknowledges that customers are using all of these different channels at the same time and switching between them. So they put their customers at the absolute center of their strategy. Every channel is there to create the best possible experience, a deeply personalized experience. To sum this all up, a multi-channel strategy means using different platforms and channels to communicate to and with the customer. An omni-channel strategy, on the other hand, aims to create a personalized, seamless transition between different channels, be they physical or digital. It will look at the customer first and considers how he or she will want to engage with your company. And the customer switches between channels constantly. So the question is, can companies and businesses keep up with this? When it comes to sales and customers, one thing is for sure. Return customers are much more valuable than new customers for your overall ROI. In fact, repeat customers generate 50% of total revenue generally. And just one repeat customer that leaves means you will need to acquire 5 new customers to make up for it. Omni-channel marketing is all about retaining customers, and even more so, building better relationships with them and increasing their loyalty. Through omni-channel marketing, you will be able to connect with your customers on a deeper level, make more personalized recommendations, and improve their loyalty, which in turn can massively improve your ROI. With omni-channel strategy in place, you will also be able to learn more about your existing customers, what channels they use, how they use them, what they like to buy and where, and so on. The more you know about your customers, the better you will be able to market to them and make your messaging more personalized when you reach out to them. This in turn will help improve your sales and your overall return on investment. Later on, I'll share with you some examples of companies using omni-channel marketing successfully and how they're improving their ROI. Excuse me. I'm sure you're all thinking, this sounds great in theory, but how exactly can I implement an omni-channel strategy? Is it just another buzzword that sounds good and marketers like throwing around? Or can I actually take advantage and use it? For me, the answer is yes, yes you can. And although you might not have the budget of a company like Disney or Nike to help you create the best possible strategy, there is still quite a lot you can do with digital channels, particularly with social media. The first thing that you should do is put yourself in your customer's shoes so that you can truly understand what the process is like for them in a variety of different scenarios. For this, you can either do it yourself with the help of some of your team members and friends, or you can hire a specialist, just like you would for, let's say, a website optimization project. These are some of the scenarios that you should be researching as a customer. The first stage is when they are researching a product. How easy is it to find the information you need about your products or services? The thing is, consumers have different ways of researching. Some do it in store, others do it online only, and an increasing amount of consumers combines the two by researching online and in store as well. And this can be at the same time or at different times. So it's important to look into the different behaviours and find out how easy it is to research your products and services in all of the different scenarios. Now on to customer service. If you have any questions or comments to make, or a customer service issue, what does the process look like? Which channels can you use? Are you getting different responses from different channels? These are all very important questions that you need answered. I'll give you a short example here, and it's a situation I'm sure you've all been in at some point in your lives as well. And some of you, I'm sure, have had much worse customer service experiences. Recently, I've been having some issues with my internet and my broadband provider. I'm not going to name any names, but I'm starting to think that they're all interchangeable anyway. Anyway, back to the story. My internet wasn't working properly, so I had to contact them multiple times to get this sorted. And when I'm saying multiple, I'm saying I had to contact them dozens of times. I spent literally hours with them on the phone, online, on social media, and to be completely honest with you, I'm still mad just thinking about it. What really annoyed me about the whole experience is not just the fact that my internet wasn't working properly, but the fact that every time I spoke with them, I had to explain everything from the start. And I do mean everything, including past interactions with other employees. Not only that, but I would get different responses and solutions depending on the channel I was using to contact them. In the end, after hours and hours of talking to them, negotiating, and frankly getting increasingly fed up with them, they realised that if they wanted to keep me on as a customer, they had to give me something, anything really. So they made me a good offer, more channels on my TV, better internet, and so on. But then when I wanted to implement this offer, and I realised I wasn't talking to them, what I mean by this is that it wasn't the company as a whole that made me that offer. It was just one department. And when it came time to make use of this offer, it turned out that that offer shouldn't have been made in the first place. And from there, a new nightmare started. Who made me that offer? When did I talk to them? At what time? What was the name of the person who offered me this package? Was I sure I heard it correctly? At this point, it had turned into an interrogation. Long story short, I got fed up, massively so. Not only was each channel's experience completely and utterly different, but the different departments weren't even capable of making the same decision or taking the same stance. It's like I was dealing with several completely different companies at the same time. To be honest, it was far from an omni-channel experience as I've ever encountered. And these are the types of situations you should be looking into when researching your company's customer service. So ask yourself, are your customers getting the same response no matter the channel they're using? Say one of your customers lets your social media team know of an issue, they're having some trouble with one of your products, and they get a reply saying, sure, we'll look into it. Are they actually going to pass that information off to the right people and get back to the customer in a timely fashion? Or will the customer have to contact a different department and explain the same issue again so that they can finally get some support? There are many ways in which customer service can go wrong, and it's very important that your channels are truly interconnected and designed in such a way so as to help the customer. That's all you really need to know. The customer has to be at the centre of your marketing efforts. Anyway, let's get back to what scenarios you should be researching. And this is another very important one. When the customer is in the process of buying something from you. You might have a physical store or have a digital one only. It doesn't really matter as the principles are essentially the same. If you're selling anything, you should put yourself in the customer's shoes to find out what the buying process is truly like. What you need to consider is that buying process is starting to get increasingly complex and consumers are using more channels when buying. Purchase patterns are increasingly becoming omni-channel. It's no longer a case of customers seeing a product they like, going to the closest store and buying it. Although sure, these customers still exist, but this is changing very rapidly and companies need to keep up. By putting yourself in your customer's shoes, you will know where to start with your company's omni-channel strategy, which channels need more work, and which channels aren't properly integrated. Remember, though, that there are different types of customers and different ways of buying, researching, and interacting with a company. So you'll need to go through all of these different scenarios. In order to start implanting your own omni-channel strategy, you should create a list of goals. Of course, the ultimate goal is to create a seamless, integrated experience across all of your different channels. If you want to achieve that, you need to communicate your goals to your various departments and the people managing them, from the staff who will be directly involved with the customer experience, to your social media manager, and all the way up to the top executives. It's also important to make them understand the need for communication within departments. It's the only way, really, to make sure that they are creating a truly integrated experience for the customer. Because that's what omni-channel means. All of the different channels and platforms working together in order to achieve the ultimate goal, an integrated customer experience, where the user can easily switch between channels and get the same positive experience across them. All of these massive changes in consumer behaviour that we've been talking about are largely due to the digital world we live in now. All of the different channels we are using now, we're using on a daily basis: mobile, email, and particularly social media. They've shaped the way we interact, not only with each other on a personal level, but also with companies. Social media is a big part of that, as more and more people are using it to engage with businesses in different stages of the buying process, when researching products and services, when making the decision to buy, and when they are encountering any issues and are in need of customer service. This means that businesses have to make an effort to make sure that their social media strategy is truly integrated with all of their other channels. First of all, you need to know your customer. Where are they spending their time online? What social channels are they using? You can then decide what the perfect platforms are for your business. But in order to make your social media part of your omni-channel marketing strategy, you need to take things a little bit further. It's important here to have a good social media marketing tool to help you deal with your audience. You need to be able to easily listen to your audience, analyze their behavior, as well as be able to respond to any mention, question, or customer service issue in real time. A good tool can help you do that, particularly if it also has some marketing automation capabilities to help you sort your audience and make sure you never miss any important update. I would recommend you try a tool like Agora Pulse, which is what I'm currently using for my social media, as it not only helps you manage your social media more easily, but they also have a great CRM tool where you can leave notes, add tags, see all past conversations with the user, and much, much more. It also provides some good monitoring capabilities for social media that will help you listen to your audience and stay on top of any brand mentions and customer service issues. What makes social media so great in dealing with customers and potential customers is that it allows you to truly connect with your audience on a personal level, which at the end of the day is what omni-channel marketing is all about, a personalized experience. When you're employing an omni-channel strategy, you're basically recognizing that each one of your customers is unique and that they have their own individual needs and expectations, which you need to acknowledge. Social media allows you to create a personalized experience for each and every one of your customers, which is what your audience expects. Each customer wants to be special and acknowledged appropriately by the company they're spending their hard-earned money on. In order to do that, it's more than just a case of knowing their name and using it. You need to know everything there is to know about that customer. When and where have they interacted with your business in the past? What issue have they faced? Have they contacted a different department before tweeting you or leaving an update on your Facebook page? One way of dealing with this is to have a strong customer relationship management strategy in place. Every time someone in your company interacts with a particular customer, the details of that interaction should be stored in one central place so that anyone can easily access it on the fly. This will truly help you towards achieving a personalized experience for all of your customers. Social media is a great platform for managing your customer service. And whether we like it or not, customers think so too. It's much more convenient for them to send out a tweet informing you of a problem or to ask you a question rather than to wait an hour or on hold to get to speak to an actual person rather than a robot. So your social audience will be using Twitter or Facebook or whatever platform they're on to call you out when they have an issue or say to get some customer support. This means that whoever is managing your social media needs to respond promptly, in real time to any comment or question, while also personalizing their response. Not only that, but they need to have the necessary knowledge to handle any customer service issues. In order to be able to do this, it's useful to have that central database of customers that we talked about earlier. This way you can personalize your response to any issue, and you will also be aware of any past conversations with that particular user, even if they took place on a different channel. There are brands that take customer service to the next level, and as a result they get amazing coverage from their very pleased customers. Delta Hotels. Now, one of these types of brands is Delta Hotels. Mike McCready was attending a conference in Vancouver, and while there he was staying at the Delta Vancouver Suites. As you can see, his view really wasn't the best. So he sent out an Instagram with a photo of the view saying, "The inside of my room at the Delta is really nice, but the view not so much." Mike didn't tag Delta Hotels in his update, and as he mentioned in a blog he posted about the experience afterwards, he wasn't exactly expecting anything from them. It was just a comment, a fun Instagram. But Delta Hotels were listening and came back to him within an hour on Twitter, switching platforms and offering to help. Mike didn't want to switch rooms since he was leaving the next day anyway, so there wouldn't be a point. So Delta Hotels then asked him to send a direct message so that they could give him some tips for any future bookings that he might make. Which, as you can imagine, Mike appreciated the fact that Delta was listening to him and wanted to create a better experience for him, even when it wasn't necessary. But the best part came after, when he came back to his room after the conference and found a lovely surprise from Delta Vancouver Suites, some sweets and a handwritten note from the hotel. This impressed Mike, and I'm sure they've turned him into a return customer. Not only that, but he also wrote a post about it on his blog and spread the word about the nice gesture. And there really is no better form of marketing than word of mouth. This is a great example of how companies can deal with customer service and turn what is potentially a damaging situation for them into not just a happy customer, but an amazing PR opportunity. Another sign of great customer service is when a company is able to employ some witnesses in their response. Wittiness in their response when the situation calls for it, of course. Sainsbury's have done a great job at this, as when a customer was looking to buy some battered fish in their local store, but it didn't have a bar cod. So he let Sainsbury's know on Twitter. As you can see, Sainsbury's not only been quick to respond, but their reply was in the same vein as their customers. From there, it ensued into a funny conversation filled with fish puns, while also making sure the issue Marty encountered was solved. These aren't even all of the tweets. After this conversation, there were dozens more messages shared, and all of them have attracted lots of engagement and positive publicity for Sainsbury's. As you can see from these examples, even when your customers are having issues and complaining about them in the most public way via social media, it can still be turned into a situation that actually works to your advantage. You could be attracting positive media coverage, like in the Delta Hotels case, or you could show that even as a brand you still have a personality, like Sainsbury's did. Whatever the case is, if there's something to learn about from these examples, it's that you should be listening and monitoring constantly on social media for any mentions of your brand. And when possible, think outside the box and go above and beyond for that customer. One of the ways to make social media a part of an integrated omni-channel strategy is to connect to your email marketing. Social media can help you get more subscribers, and email can help you in turn by getting you more engagement on social media. Basically, it's a win-win situation when you integrate the two. Now let's talk about how email can help you get better results on social media. As a first step, you should include links to your social channels in all of your emails. When using drip marketing, one of your first emails could present the social channels you are active on and explain to your subscriber why they should be following you, complete with a link that they can click to directly go to your social account. You can also use email to promote any social media campaign you might be holding. For example, if you're holding a contest on Facebook, send out an email broadcast to your subscriber list to let them know about the contest. Tell them what they need to do in order to win and advertise the prize they could be winning if they participated. This promotional tactic goes both ways. You can also get more email subscribers by using social media. For example, you can create Twitter cards that allow all your followers to subscribe to your list. Make sure, however, that you give your audience a good reason for subscribing them. You can also use your social platforms to share the benefits to joining your list. For example, say you've set up a campaign where you are offering your list an awesome promotion, like, for example, they're getting 25% off on all of your products for 1 week. You can then advertise this on social media. Send out an update where you let your fans and followers know what they could be getting if they joined your email list. Excuse me. Another way to integrate email and social is to upload your hard-earned subscriber list to your social media accounts. You can do this on most social networks, including Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn. This can help you in multiple ways. One of these ways is by using your list to gain more information and insight into your audience. The more you know about them, the more likely you are the more you know about them, what makes them tick, what their interests are, the better you can personalize your emails and your social updates. And the more you can personalize your emails, the better chances you have of making more conversions. Likewise, on social media, when you write better targeted updates, you increase your chances of getting more engagement, more clicks and traffic, and so on. And after all, that's what the omni-channel experience is all about: personalization and the customer. Once you start following the members of your email list on social media, you should also use the opportunity to interact with them more. This leads to more followers and better results on social. Plus, you're truly cementing these valuable relationships as you're taking them a bit further. You're not just sending them email broadcasts anymore, you're starting to build real relationships with them across platforms. Another way to use your subscriber list is to create a targeted social media ad campaign. When you're creating a social media ad campaign, although most networks have great targeting abilities, targeting your subscriber list directly can get you even better results. Think about it. They've already hit subscribe, so not only do they know about you and your brand, but they're already interested in hearing more about you or more from you. In fact, they might be in your list because they're considering buying from you, or because they've already bought something from you and might be willing to buy more. So who better to target than them in order to increase your ad campaign success? Social media offers businesses an amazing tool, one that allows them to gain more insight into their customers and their audience than ever before. Why should we be doing that? Well, there are a lot of benefits, but first let's go through the type of information you could be gathering about your audience with the help of social media. First, you can learn more about their passions and hobbies, what makes them tick basically. This allows you to personalize the experience you create for each customer, which leads in turn to a better relationship. Another thing you will be learning is what social media platforms they prefer using, particularly when dealing with complaints and customer service issues for businesses. You will then know which social networks you should focus your attention and resources on, so that you can always respond promptly to any issues and questions. You will also be able to glean more insight into what types of devices they're using on a day-to-day basis, as well as their movements. If they're using location features on their social accounts, the more data you can gather on your audience, the better, of course. It's not just an issue of collecting as much data, but also of knowing how to use it to your advantage. Disney is one of the best examples of an omni-channel marketing strategy done right, down to the smallest details. They've always been great at marketing, and they're often one step ahead, and now they're setting the bar for omni-channel experiences. Imagine you're planning on taking a trip to Disney World. The whole experience starts the moment you research your trip and buy the tickets. It continues when you get to the destination and ends well after you've returned back home. The whole experience not only feels personal, but it also serves a purpose to make your whole trip better, more exciting, more fun for the whole family, including the parents, and generally more stress-free, which is exclusively for the parents. Disney have fine-tuned each step of the way, researching the parks and amenities, buying your tickets, preparing for your trip, getting to the hotel, and the experience once you're actually in the park. Let me explain how they do this. So, of course, you start by researching the parks that you can decide what to buy. There are two main channels that you can use for that: the Disney website and their app. What's really great about it is that you explore all different attractions like rides, restaurants, and other entertainment, and even start planning for once you get there by creating wish lists and creating your itinerary. Their website works beautifully both on desktop and on mobile devices, which is a must because people are likely to switch between channels when buying something. Say, for example, you're waiting on the tube, have some time to lose, and you want to surprise the family with a nice trip, and you get on Disney's website to see if Disney World would be a good option for what you're looking for. The tube is finally there, and while you're being squeezed between other commuters, you forget about Disney World for a second. But then you're home and you want to continue your research and maybe get those tickets. There's no need to keep using your phone now, so you're probably going to open up your computer to finish the research and buy. Once you've decided and bought your tickets, you can use the My Disney experience to start planning your trip. This could turn into a fun experience for the whole family, or nightmarish depending on what your kids want. Once you've arrived at your destination, you'll receive Disney's magic customizable wristband, which you can use as a hotel key, as a fast pass for rides, a ticket for the parks, and generally as the primary payment method once you're at Disney World. Not only that, but any pictures taken in the park by professionals will be registered to your wristband and instantly uploaded to the Disney app. Now, the Disney app is another really cool feature. With it, you can explore the park virtually directly on your phone, make plans, book your restaurant, find out and get around the park and find out what the wait times are for different rides so that you don't lose any time. Basically, anything you could possibly need to have a great experience is either in your phone or on your wrist. And as you can imagine, this makes the whole trip much more relaxed for everyone involved. And while you're having a great time at Disney World, Disney is collecting a lot of data on your behavior and using it to optimize the experience even further. This is a great example of an omni-channel strategy done right. Disney are clearly putting the customer first, and they're striving to create the best possible experience for them. They're not only giving their customers what they want and expect, but they're actually going above and beyond to impress them with a seamless experience. Which means that when someone leaves Disney World, they do so with a smile on their face, which makes them much more likely to come back and tell their friends about the amazing time they've had. And I'm sure by now you're all thinking that while all this sounds great in theory, most businesses don't exactly have the resources that Disney have to create this kind of omni-channel experience, which is true. There are very few companies that could do this, but there is a lot to learn from Disney and the strategy that they've created. It's just a question of finding the right strategy for your business and using the resources you have to create a better, more integrated, seamless, and personalized experience for your customers. India is a very interesting market. First off, it's a huge one. The population reaches over 1.25 billion people, which makes it one of the largest in the world. That said, the Indian market has very special needs, with most people preferring to buy in-store rather than online. And not to mention, they're more likely to own a smartphone than a desktop computer. Hearing this, you might be wondering if there's even a need of omni-channel marketing in India. And well, there is. Omni-channel marketing is actually exploding right now in India, and I'm very curious to see what the future will bring. As I mentioned earlier, the majority of Indian shoppers prefer to go in-store rather than buy online. So companies in India have had to think outside the box on how to improve the customer experience in-store and with how to seamlessly integrate digital with their bricks and mortar shop. Van Heusen is one of these companies, and they've done an outstanding job. Once you hear how their Indian flagship store works, you'll probably want to buy a plane ticket to go and see for yourself what the future of retail shopping looks like. First things first, once you enter the store, you'll head right into the so-called Today's Briefing, which is a 42-inch digital display, which gives you relevant information about the store, such as new additions, styling tips, as well as the look of the day, among other info. That's all great, but what comes next is much more impressive. Just next to the Today's Briefing display, there's a fit scanner, which is basically an infrared device where you can quickly scan yourself to find out all of your exact measurements so that you can find the best possible fit for the clothes you want to get. Now that you know your measurements, it's time to find some clothes to buy. Luckily, there's a style bar digital display where you answer a few questions about your style and get personalized recommendations for up to 20 different looks to match your personal style. What's even more amazing is that if you want to see how you would look like wearing them, you don't even need to step into a changing room. Rather, you can use the virtual trial mirror, which lets you try on the clothes virtually. The Van Heusen shop in India is a truly exemplary way of integrating digital into physical stores, and I, for one, can't wait to see more shops using this type of technology to make shopping an immersive and highly entertaining experience. With Disney, we saw what the complete omni-channel experience could look like. Now I want to give you an example of what a digital strategy could look like as part of an omni-channel experience in a physical store. One of the pioneers here is Barney's in New York. In fact, they're the first brand to create this kind of digital customer experience. Their new flagship store in downtown Manhattan uses a complex personalization platform that allows them to send out editorial content that is personalized to each shopper. Basically, you can sign up for personalized notifications for location-based shopping and for notifications with special offers and store happenings. What's really cool here is the location-based shopping experience. Basically, Barney's can track your behavior while you're online, see what's in your mobile shopping bag, what wish lists you have, and your browsing patterns within their store's online publication. With this knowledge, Barney's can then send push notifications to their shoppers as they get close to their store or already inside. They'll be notified of events, local offers, but the most impressive thing about it is that they'll actually be getting personalized notifications once they get physically close to items that are in their mobile shopping bags or on their wish list. This makes for a completely new type of experience for shoppers, and it also helps Barney's make more sales, as customers are basically being directed towards the exact products they're interested in. The Barney's New York The Barney's New York flagship store truly gives us a glimpse into what is most likely the future of an integrated online and offline shopping experience. I hope I haven't overwhelmed and managed to explain not only what an omni-channel strategy is, but also have given you an idea of where you can get started with implementing your own. Omni-channel marketing is clearly the next logical step in marketing. It's what customers expect, really, and there's no way around it. Plus, it can get you better results. Your customers will be happier, you'll make more sales, more conversions, and you'll have less disgruntled customers. This is what you need to remember: the need for personalization, a seamless transition across different channels, and perhaps most importantly, that the customer should be at the center of all of your marketing. Everything you do, you should keep the customer in mind. Omni-channel marketing is also a great tool for improving your overall ROI. By creating a strategy with the customer in mind, where they get the best possible experience every time they interact with your brand, you will manage to improve loyalty and generally build stronger relationships with your customers. And the more you are able to do that, well, the better your return on investment. Social media is a huge part of a strong omni-channel strategy, and I hope that you now have the information you need to start integrating social media with your other marketing channels. And I now welcome questions.
Thank you, Lilach. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. We have some great questions coming in. I do need to go ahead. If you can go ahead and go one slide forward, please.
Of course.
And then before we start the question and answer, I'm actually going to take over the screen here, and we have a poll that we always do at the beginning of the question and answer. Basically, if you are interested in continuing education and getting certified and some of the wonderful courses Simplilearn, you can go in and click on the poll, and it will connect you with somebody so they can answer more questions, and you can get something more specific in the Simplilearn arena. We have some great questions coming in from, we'll start with Satindra. I hope I said the name right. She has some questions concerning a newly launched products. So if you have a newly launched products, how does the omni-channel, is it beneficial for newly launched products, and what are the top 3 things one needs to keep in mind while creating a user experience for the first-time customer and for newly launched products? If you're just starting a new launched product and you have your first customer, what would be the top things you would suggest for that?
I think it's about knowing your customer. I think the rules apply regardless of whether it's a new business or an existing business. I think the more you know about your customer, the better it is, so that you can provide a seamless experience for them. So I would ensure that if you're launching something new, that you're listening and being able to monitor what they're saying so that you don't miss any brand mentions, because to damage your reputation initially is obviously something you want to try and avoid. I would also make sure that you have really clear guidelines, because sometimes it's actually easier starting at the beginning rather than having a big company and thousands of employees, because things get crossed and there's a lot more training involved. So if you have a new business, then you have that opportunity to put things in place to make sure that everybody is aligned, that everybody knows the procedures, there's clear guidelines on what you can and can't do, and that everything is shared across throughout all the teams involved.
Nice. Question here, what if money is always a big thing. I've worked with a lot of startups, and I tell you, the budgets, everybody asks about the budget. We don't have the budget for a full omni-channel strategy. Is there anything we can do? Boy, how can you bite off little pieces to, you have a startup company and you don't want to spend a lot of money. How do you do that? How do you take care of that?
Well, I think, you don't have to have big budgets. I mean, obviously Disney is a crazy example, but it just shows how aligned they've had it. I think it boils down to investing in good tools to help you. So, having a really good measuring and listening tool so that you can hear what people are saying when they're saying, and investing the time into training your staff, because it's the staff who are representing your brand, and making sure that everybody is really aligned, everybody knows that, these are the rules, if a customer isn't happy, what you can do and how you can help them, so that they don't get passed from pillar to pillar. It's so frustrating as a consumer having that issue. So I think making sure that, you know, everything is aligned and everything is consistent, and that you have a strategy in place which focuses on the resources that you have. So, for example, there's no point creating this amazing strategy if actually, when you get down to it, you just don't have the resources in place to carry it out. So it's not just about the budget, but it's the resources that you have as well. So it's setting realistic expectations and creating goals and a vision of where you want to be and working back to how you're going to get there.
Excellent, excellent. I could have used that advice many years ago on one of my startups. Hindsight's 2020, right?
Absolutely.
We have a question coming in on the B2B industry. I guess they're asking is, do you have any examples of how the omni-channel works in the B2B industry? Say, for example, IT consulting or IT services industry. So I guess if they have a back end where they're working with other companies to be their support, what kind of omni-channel, have you seen something like that where the omni-channel is integrated with their company and I guess the company they're working with?
Oh, that's a really good question, because I think all my examples are not B2B, which just highlights that B2B are much further behind with it than the consumers. No, I can't think of an example, but I think actually you should take the good examples, you know, of the likes of Disney who are doing it well, because regardless of the industry and the space they're in, I would only look at good examples, because B2B is failing here. You know, they're not managing to master this, and that's because they don't value the customers enough. You know, with the consumer market, without the consumers, they have no business, and also it's a really big volume business. Whereas with the B2B, you know, if they have an unhappy customer, they just get another one. You know, their retained rate is very different because word of mouth is very different. If you're not happy in a B2B environment, you don't tend to complain as much as you do with the consumer. So they're getting away with it, but that's going to change because more people will not put up with it. So I think just follow the steps of how the B2C market is doing, because they're much more ahead than the B2B.
Excellent. To me, that sounds like a great startup for a company, just for your own marketing. Maybe you're onto something there. I think that was Santos. Maybe there might be a whole other industry.
Yeah, I wish I had an example. I'll try and find an example, because that's I'm curious to see if there is anyone good. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
But that would be a good sales point, though, for a B2B industry, if they can identify not only their customer but the end customer and sell that. That would, like I said, that would be a great idea for a startup. Coming down, we have how can we get different departments to work together as part of an omni-channel strategy? So you have a large company. How do you get everybody to come together for that? That sounds like a major project.
Yeah, well, first you need to come up with your omni-channel strategy, and then when it's time to implement it, you have to gather up all of, you know, your different department heads to explain what this strategy actually is all about. And you're really going to need to have some kind of centralized system where all the different departments can easily access it, and so they can leave notes for other departments and so on, so that everything is, you know, easily communicated. And I think that the best way to go about it is to invest in cloud computing, where you can keep everything, particularly, you know, a CRM tool, so that everyone in your team can see past conversations, you know, histories that have happened with customers, make notes and that sort of thing. So that this way, whenever somebody interacts with a customer in any way, they have to check the central database beforehand, and after completing the interaction, they then must make sure that they add notes or any important information. And I think that there also needs to be somebody managing this process, because so that things don't get lost, so that, you know, it's quite strictly working.
Excellent, excellent. Let's see, we have a question coming in. which approach do you see working better for regulated product industry? And I'm not quite sure what they mean by regulated product industry. I hope you know what that means. Multi-channel or omni-channel? Maybe you can discuss a little bit what regulated product industry is, if you know what that is.
Um, oh, that's a really good question as well. Those are really great questions, guys. I mean, I always believe in an omni-channel anywhere because I think that's the future. I think that's where the direction we're heading as customers, is to have a seamless, personalized experience. It's all about building relationships and making sure that the whole journey is linked from wherever you are. So I would recommend that.
Excellent. Let's see. What types of businesses should get started with the omni-channel marketing? Which ones do you see that are really taking off with that?
Well, one of the types of businesses that would really benefit the most from an omni-channel marketing strategy are those in retail. So like we've seen in Amazon or Dan Heusen or Barney's New York. In retail, you can make much more personalized recommendations based on past behavior. And you can obviously then integrate that digitally with your bricks and mortar store. But that said, any type of business would work great with omni-channel marketing because it really helps enhance the customer experience.
Excellent. Another question coming in here. I think we have time for about one, maybe two more questions. If we implemented an omni-channel strategy, would we need any dedicated employees that would need to work full-time on this? So what kind of resources would need to be invested in an omni-channel strategy?
Not necessarily, but it does depend a lot on what your strategy is and what kind of technology you're going to be using. So you might need someone working on it full-time in the beginning just to help you get everything set up. The goal is to get everyone in all your different departments working as part of your own omni-channel strategy.
Excellent. And one last question, and if you have questions and we missed them, you can definitely visit the Simplilearn forum. If you go to www.simplilearn.com, you can scroll down, you'll see community, or you can go directly to it, which is community.simplilearn.com. And on there you can actually go in there and post your question directly. And I just switched it back. Oh, there we go. Okay. You can post your question directly to the forum, and we do have a lot of experts to go in there and answer many marketing questions. And we certainly have both a master's program and other programs available in the different marketing arenas. And like I said, lots of experts. You can go in there and answer those questions. I'm going to bring up one last question for the day. What are the biggest challenges with implementing an omni-channel strategy?
Oh gosh, I think one of the biggest challenges is definitely the budget. I mean, that said, it is, this is an issue when you're interested in getting extensive technology, like, for example, Barney's New York or Van Heusen. Another issue is simply put the creativity side. You really need to think outside of the box in order to find the perfect ways to be able to blend your different channels. It can also be quite difficult to get all of your different departments to collaborate constantly, especially if your company is quite big or if the departments are quite segregated.
Excellent. We do have to go ahead and close because we are at the end of the hour. Lilach, I really want to thank you for your time today. It was a wonderful webinar. I love these things. I'm always learning something new. And I suddenly have a craving for danishes with frosting, 3 of them on a tray. I don't know where that came from.
I don't know, but I'm obliged.
I think that was like halfway through on the motel one, the danishes. Again, thank you for being here, and I thank everybody for showing up. Wonderful. And Simplilearn, our benefactor for these webinars. They sponsor these, and it's not a small production in the back. So take the time to visit Simplilearn.com At the very least, you can visit community.simplylearn.com, which is an open forum, and ask some questions there of experts. I'm actually in the programming and big data side, so you might see my picture in there if that's what you're interested in, and you have questions along that line, like the Hadoop and Spark framework. We have some, over 1,000 in people who are connected as trainers who look at that website. So a lot of professionals go in there. Again, thank you everybody for showing us, and Lilach, I wish you a wonderful day, and I look forward to working with you again sometime.
Thank you so much. Great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Take care, everybody, and goodbye for today, and happy learning.